Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to the Center of Love. Thank you for being here with us on this beautiful Sunday morning. To start us off, I wanted to share one of my favorite poems with you by Robert Bly, an American poet. And this one is called The Third Body. A man and a woman sit near each other, and they do not long at this moment to be older or younger, nor born in any other nation or time or place. They are content to be where they are, talking or not talking. Their breaths together feed someone whom we do not know. The man sees his fingers move. He sees her hands close around a book she hands to him. They obey a third body that they share in common. They have made a promise to love that body. Age may come, parting may come, death will come. A man and a woman sit near each other. As they breathe, they feed someone we do not know, someone we know of, whom we have never seen.
Good morning and welcome to the Center of Love, or as our kids like to call it, the Love Club. We are a group of light-hearted spiritual healers, unifiers, helpers, problem solvers, artists, and poets. We are the tapestry of humankind, united by the mysterious power of love.
As many of you know, we gather here every second Sunday to share our truths, insights, and experiences with each other, and to honor and to treat with great care each gift that is shared.
My name is Candace.
And my name is Ollie. And together we have the honor and the privilege of hosting today's Sunday gathering.
Ollie and I are two sides of the same coin. And since public speaking is more his thing, I like to bring him along when I have to do it. Don't think of him as a separate person, more like the right hand to my left or the yang to my yin.
That's right. And between the two pairs of hands that we are, there is a third body, as the poem that I just recited to you states. There's a third body between us, and it's neither Candace nor I really who's here hosting. It's this third body that is actually here before you today. But that's enough of my stoner thoughts for now. What are we talking about today, Candace?
Why don't we start with an opening quote? So it's from The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, which is one of my favorite books. And he says, "There is nothing more important to true growth than realizing that you are not the voice of the mind. You are the one who hears it."
So then, since the title of the talk is It's Your Story, I'm guessing that the goal today is to take some ownership of the voice of the mind. For our purposes today, let's call the voice the narrator. The mind is constantly telling you a story, isn't it?
Yeah, especially mine. I call mine my roomie from Michael Singer's book. And if I leave it to its own devices, it spins up crazy things all the time.
Crazy how, Candace?
Unrealistic, inaccurate, wild, not true.
So like a victim story, maybe?
Yeah, or a revenge story, perhaps.
What about a story of oppression?
Yeah, that's possible. So how do we turn these things around? How do we become the authors? How do we own our stories and shape them according to our own values?
More importantly, is this even possible? Can you even do that? Well, I think it is possible, but I'm biased. I'm looking forward to hearing what our guest speaker, Joanna, has to say on the topic. But let's see if it's possible to train the voice in your mind to tell you a different story, a story that liberates you rather than imprisons you. As I said, our guest speaker today, Joanna, will be diving right into this discussion shortly. But first, let's introduce our guest.
Reverend Joanna Drury is a native Victorian who was raised as a Christian Scientist. After a 35-year career with the federal government in Ottawa and briefly with the BC provincial government, she began a spiritual journey that led her to the study of science of mind, the teachings of Ernest Holmes. She was first ordained in 2010 and then again in 2023 through Centers for Spiritual Living. She served as associate minister with the Center for Spiritual Living Victoria for 10 years until resigning this spring. Today, she hosts monthly spiritual gatherings in her beautiful garden and invites anyone who might be interested to talk with her. I first met Joanna in 2020 through Cressa, who was helping Joanna stage her home. Jo and I hit it off right away, and before I knew it, I was working with her regularly. Over the last 4 years, I've had the opportunity to get to know her and develop quite a close relationship. She's a good listener, a kind, generous, and loving person who genuinely cares about others. She and David have welcomed my family into their home on many occasions, and I have had the privilege of helping her during her beautiful garden gatherings, fundraisers for the CSL, and in preparing for David's 80th birthday party, which was the first birthday party that was ever planned and thrown for him. It was amazing. It's my pleasure to introduce Joanna to the Center of Love.
Well, Candace, thank you for that lovely intro, and how wonderful to be here today for the first time. The Center of Love. What a wonderful name for a center of spirituality. So my talk today is quite short. I said to David this morning, I think this talk is too short. He said, there's never a talk that's too short. Okay, I got the message. So the title of my talk today is It's Your Story. And everybody has a story to tell, don't they? And if you think about your own story, you probably realize that you've rewritten it many times during your life. As the circumstances of your life change, your narrative about who you are changes too. Sometimes people get stuck in a part of their story that has been sad or traumatic or difficult, and they tell it over and over and over again. The mother of my friend Meg, technical adjustments. Are we good? The mother of my friend Meg was divorced at the age of 45 and was still filled with bitterness over this event more than 30 years later. Her anger, hurt, and pain had never healed. I have another friend who is always getting into fights with her strata council, the stores where she makes purchases, her fights with her neighbors, her relatives. And yet it never occurs to her that the common denominator in all these interactions is her own sense that the world is out to get her. As a minister of religious science, I've listened to many stories as people have asked me for affirmative prayer. And the message that I want to share with you this morning is that no matter what is happening in your life, no matter who you are or whatever spiritual path or religious path you are on, you have the power to change your story. Some of you may have heard of Ernest Holmes, the author of Science of Mind, and many other books that lay out a pathway to positive living. His teachings are not unique, as he studied the religions of the world to write his textbook. He taught that we can each transform our lives, rewrite our own stories. The most basic of challenges that we all face in life are in the areas of our relationships with partners. My partner, he will attest to that. With children, family, neighbors, challenges related to our health and physical and mental well-being, challenges of financial abundance or the lack thereof. When we face major challenges, we tend to change the story of our lives to include whatever challenge we are currently facing. How are you, Susie? Oh, I'm just fine, but my sciatica is killing me and I'm having another fight with my daughter. Does this sound like anyone you know? Or maybe does it sound like you? Michael Singer tells us in his book, The Untethered Soul, to attain true inner freedom, you must be able to objectively watch your problems instead of being lost in them. You will not be able to solve anything outside until you own how the situation affects you inside. You have to break the habit of thinking that the solution to your problems is to rearrange things outside. The only permanent solution to your problems is to go inside and let go of the part of you that used to have so many problems with reality. Singer tells us the highest spiritual path is life itself. To begin with, you have to realize that you really only have one choice in this life. Do you want to be happy? Or do you not want to be happy? One choice. It is really that simple. Once you make that choice, your path through life becomes totally clear. Most of us don't dare give ourselves that choice because we think life is not under our control. A man might say, well, of course I want to be happy, but my wife just left me. But the question was simply, do you want to be happy or not? As we put qualifiers and conditions on our happiness, it means that we are depending on external conditions to create that happiness. Singer adds, if you decide that you're going to be happy from now on for the rest of your life, you will not only be happy, you will become enlightened. Unconditional happiness is the highest technique there is. You don't have to learn Sanskrit or read any scriptures. You don't have to renounce the world. You just have to really mean it when you say that you choose to be happy. And you have to mean it regardless of what happens. This is truly a spiritual path, and it is as direct and sure a path to awakening as could possibly exist. Meditation is always a way to strengthen your center of consciousness. In meditation, you let go of all the mind chatter and focus on your spirit or God connection. For you are indeed a center of divine energy, and as such, your spiritual essence is truly a reflection of spirit, source, God, the one power, whatever you choose to call it. It is free from all this clutter of conditions. Spirit is joyful. It has a sense of humor. I love this quote from Michael Singer. Do you think God likes to be around people that are happy or people that are miserable? It's not hard to tell. Just think of it by imagining that you are God. You created the heavens and earth so that you could play and experience yourself. And now you're dropping down to check on your humans. So God asks the first human he sees, how are you doing? The human says, what do you mean, how am I doing? Well, do you like it here? No, I don't like it here. Why not? What's wrong? That tree is bent in 5 places. I want it to be straight. This person went out with somebody else, and that person ran up a $100 phone bill. This person has a nicer car than mine, and that person dresses funny. It's just terrible. Plus, my nose is too big, my ears are too small, and my toes are weird. I'm not happy with it. I don't like any of it. So God says, what about the animals? The animals? The ants and mosquitoes bite you. It's a terrible thing. I can't go out at night because there are all these animals out there. They howl and poop all over the place, and I just don't like it. Do you think God likes listening to this? He says, what do you think? I'm a complaints department? Then God goes and visits someone else and asks, how are you doing? This person says, I'm ecstatic. God says, wow, well, how do you like things here? They're beautiful. Everything I look at just creates waves of joy inside me. I look at that bent tree, it just blows me away. The ant comes and bites me, and I find it amazing that a tiny ant would be brave enough to bite a giant like me. If you want to be close to God, learn to be joyful. One of the names for God in the yogic tradition is Satchitananda, and some of you know that, maybe pronounced incorrectly, but that's the best I can do with Satchitananda, which means eternal conscious bliss. Singer reminds us that if we remain spontaneously happy and centered, no matter what happens, you will find God. That's the amazing part. Yes, you will find happiness, but that's nothing compared to what you'll really find. You will find peace and spiritual awakening. Unless one has done a great deal of spiritual work, most of us are still on a journey to non-resistance, a place where we are capable of accepting with ease the events and circumstances that arise in our lives, the events that make up our story. The reason I became a minister is because I found the teachings of Ernest Holmes to be a powerful tool in helping me deal with the apparent crises that have shown up in my life. I love being able to share these teachings with others because I know that they have the power to heal and transform. I love these teachings so much that I've been holding spiritual gatherings in my garden on Wednesday afternoons once a month. People from a wide variety of backgrounds come together in my garden to enjoy a spiritual teaching and community. If you would like to join us, please just come and speak to me. I want to close with a quote from Ernest Holmes' book, The Art of Life. What the wisest have known is only a little more than you and I know. They cannot answer your questions for you. You will have to answer them for yourself. Even the best person who has ever lived could not live for you. You will have to live for yourself. You are compelled to live your own life, to think your own thoughts, and to experience your own being. Start with this simple proposition. Life is. It is natural goodness and kindness. It is peace and joy and wholeness. I live in this life. This life flows through me. This life is in everyone and in everything. Therefore, I am one with all that is, all people, all things, all events. Let us just declare this to be the truth and make it the foundation of our story today and every day. And so it is. Namaste.